All right, you guys, so I'm at this pretty well-known spot for smallmouth, and this is the type of thing. I just kind of wanted to come here and explain what some of these are, and I've been here quite a few times and caught fish off of this exact same spots, and so I know what's down here. And if you watched my last video, I show that here, I mean, things are different everywhere, but they should be pretty accurate. I just don't want anybody saying, no, not on my lake, But these here are all smallmouth for the most part. You can see they're all in the same depth, 20 to 40 feet, suspended somewhere on the bottom. You can see some movement right here, some more active type ones. When you see the arches kind of stretch and kind of some movement out there, then you're getting on some more active fish there. Smallmouth, they're not real dense fish unless you get to some of the big ones, and there hasn't been a smallmouth in here long enough and enough food for them, as opposed to other places where you're going to get those 4 or 5 pounders. I mean, are they in here? It's possible, but they're very rare. You get more of the smaller ones, and so the smaller, the ones that aren't as dense, it's a softer return, so you get that orange in the middle, and then you get that blue tapering off on the edge there. Where a largemouth or a bigger fish, you're going to get that orange, the yellow in the middle, the orange on each side of the yellow, and then it tapering off to blue. Now, a lot of people don't take into consideration the actual skin of the fish. The skin of the fish, the outer exterior, depending on how hard it is, it'll give you a harder return. Carp, they have much more of an armored outside, so they show up as everything's yellow. So, it's that harder return. It still shows up in an arch and everything, but it's going to give you more of that yellow. Catfish here, they're more fully orange, and they're like channel cats and stuff like that. You can even feel the outside of them. They're not as hard as a carp, so they're not showing up as dark here. The yellow bellies, they're usually always bass here, so that's kind of the thing that I'm looking for. These brush piles and stuff like that, you can see if I switch it over to down scan here, you can get a better look at what's a brush pile and what's not. I don't have there's not much there, so that's probably some type of floating debris there, but you're not seeing any type of solid return really there. I see something real faint, real small there, but let's see if we can turn that up at all with our contrast, because sometimes you can turn the contrast up to a harder return and make out some better things. So right there you can see, since I turned the contrast up, I'm now able to see that there was a little harder object there, and more than likely that's a piece of wood, because it's not showing up as hard of a return as this here. It's a little bit softer, so the more likely that's wood. You can go into here, leave a waypoint and make it a wood waypoint, so that way So now that I know that, if I'm trying to pick up things like that, I got to have my contrast up higher, so I went ahead and turned it up, and I'll be able to pick up things like that and things that are harder returns. That little piece of rice right there is probably a good sized fish. So then we go back to here, and we can see that the blue that you usually see right here is usually some type of a vegetation, like a grass or something like that. It's not usually any type of wood. It's going to give you that. The wood's going to give you the more of orangish type return, where the grass give you a blue, rock will give you a yellow. So depending on how you have everything set up. But you can see a couple fish here relating. Let me go ahead and switch over to there, relating to these, this vegetation that's here. And these could be catfish, but more likely catfish are usually on the bottom, and unless they're chasing bait, and there's no bait here, so these are probably smallmouth. There is tui chubs in here too that get a decent size, and they show up similar to that. But the tui chubs, they're not. There's more smallmouth in here than there is tui chubs. So, is it worth fishing? Not for me, because there's not very many there. I'm not going to just fish for the one, although there looks like there could be one underneath it. I don't really know. But you can see here now we're going through a drop off, and we're just kind of scanning around this island right here, and you know, we could go up in there and do some side scanning and stuff like that too, just to see where the bigger rock is, because a lot of times, you know, the bigger rock is in a certain area, but you can already see right here we got smaller gravel riprap that goes into bigger rock. So I kind of know just from what's on the land there where the bigger rock is. So, you know, for me, side scanning over there would be kind of pointless. You know, I feel, you know, just kind of graphing around here a bit would be a little more efficient of my time, because I don't have a lot of time out here, and just go ahead and fish it. I mean, we're in the winter time. I'm out here in the main lake, but you can see right here a little bit of orange right here. That's probably some type of wood laying there or something. So we can switch back to the down scan and see. I don't have it. Sometimes it's better to put it on auto for that reason. We can go to 80 feet. So you can see right here, that's rock. It could be some wood though, but it looks, you know, it's so far down on the bottom, it's kind of tough to tell. And I could actually go a little slower here, maybe pick this up a little better. Surface clarity, go ahead and turn that off. So I turn my surface clarity off, and you can see I'm getting much better. You know, it's showing me more stuff in the water. So that's pretty cool, you know, but at the same time, you don't want too much clutter. So I don't have that much clutter up here when I shut it off. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it off. But if you have all this clutter coming down, then you may want to turn that surface clarity up a bit higher. But also slowing down, you know, lowers the motor down a bit, and you get a little better picture there as well. You can see here, marking fish. Those can be good sized smallmouths. Got a little bit of yellow in the center of this one here. So there's a good pot. So a lot of fish suspended here, and this is one of the reasons why this place is such a tough fishery. I mean, you know, most people don't learn to catch suspended fish until a little further into, you know, fishing. They kind of do some easier techniques. I know I did, and you know, it's definitely kicking me in the butt, but I'm out here and I'm learning. And you know, water temperature is 39 degrees. It's about 40, it's about 50 actually outside. So you know, these fish are going to come up to the warmer part of the water column, and because that's going to be, you know, warmer. So you got a fish down here relating to the bottom. You know, a lot of people say that the colors depend on if the, not a lot of people, but a few people say that the color depends on if the fish is underneath your transducer or not, but that's not true. Those are literally just how hard the returns are, and you know, how dense of a fish that you're looking at. And the denser fish are usually, you know, the hardest returns and the bigger fish, and the ones you want to go after. But you know, a bigger, longer fish is going to show a longer arch, and so you got to, you know, take that into consideration too. And you can see when the water gets up there, there's a ledge, the drop-off ledge right here, and that's really good to know for when the water comes back up. You know, I could definitely fish that and know that these fish are holding in a lot of this stuff right here. And I'm sure we could park right here, walk this bank, and find a ton of my stuff and everybody else's stuff there as well. So yeah, I'm gonna graph a little bit more. I'm gonna get a little bit closer to the shore and graph, and you know, but like on my last video, I showed you where you can drop a waypoint on your sonar and then go back to your graph, to your mapping, and just fish that mapping. But you can see how you have fish here, and then you see the rice dots there. They come up kind of bright. You know, that's you know, and then some fainter one, more faint ones. So the brighter ones, it's showing you that those are fish. So you can spot fish on your down scan too, but you know, I think that this kind of just shows the separation between you know, returns a little better than on here. This takes a little more skill. Not that it's not doable and you can't do it, but it does take a little bit more skill. But you see, we are marking fish. Everything that, like I said before, is between, you know, 20 and 40 feet. You know, mostly around here 20 and 30. That wash right there is just me turning, creating a little bit of turbulence there. Got a fish coming up trying to eat the turbulence. All right, so You know, this, like I said before, this is a pretty well-known smallmouth area. And so now that I've seen most of my fish between, you know, 20 and 30 or so, I'm going to go ahead and pull up on 20 or 30 right here, and I'm going to graph 20 or 30 and you know, see if there's fish that's in that 20 or 30. And you can see yellow lumps here, that's rock. And this here, what you're seeing, this orange coming up here, that's pea gravel. There's a bunch of little pea gravel here between the rocks, which is pretty cool. It's a good thing for fish to feed in. I think there's suckers in here, they said, or something like that. Little tiny, I forgot what the name what they are. There's some type of sucker type fish. Not the crazy looking ones you guys are probably thinking of, but so there's a fish there. You know, a couple little small things going on here. We're coming up on the point though, and that's kind of what, you know, I more fishes the points. It seems like that's where the majority of the fish are, is on the points. But there's also some big rocks here, so definitely want to be careful and make sure that I'm not, you know, coming up on a rock or anything like that. So I'm coming close to the point. Right here you can see right there, and I'm going to turn out onto the point a little bit here, and you can see more rocks there. You can see the rocks coming down the side here. If we switch over here to down scan, you can see the rocks coming off the side of the point. We're on top of the point, and this is the rocks coming off the side of the point there. There's other pellets you can use, you know, sometimes. You can see the shadows, and what it's doing is it's shining a beam, you know, off to the, you know, straight down, and then these ones that are that it's picking up here are, you know, shooting off to the side, so it's getting a little bit of the beam as well. But you can see more solid returns there, more rocks here. We'll go back, and there you go, fish. So between 20 and 30 again. You know, and this is one of the things that, you know, I try to do when I have other people on my boat, and it's hard because it's hard to do because you get wrapped up in other things, stuff like that. But if you're graphing the majority of your fish, you know, in the same depth, that tells you what depth to fish. And these fish are in, you know, 20 to 30 feet, and that's just how it is. These fish are in 20 to 30 feet. So, you know, I've been graphing for probably, you know, 30 minutes or so. And you know, just trying to figure out what's going on here. And so far I've figured out that these fish are definitely suspended, and there's not a lot of action going on. Like, these ones are kind of just sitting here still. You got some moving right here though. That's some moving fish there, so a little bit more active. Things that when you see them kind of streaking like this, it tells you, you know, if they're moving. You see this one right here, it's streaking. If I were to turn my sensitivity up more, you would see this streak come down a lot more. And that's a lot of the times, not right now, but a lot of the times, that's why I like a little more clutter, just because I'm trying to pick up where that fish was, or what it's feeding off of. Most people are just like looking for the arches. But a lot of times, if you pick up the bait that they're feeding on, you know, and it's real small, then you know what size lure to put on. And, you know, I got another rock right here. And so I slowed down just a little bit here, just because I'm coming up on the point and I want to graph this point really well. I'll show you right here. All right. A little bit of orange here, something a little softer return there, maybe some wood. There is trees up here that break, fall down, and end up in the water. You can see this, you know, you can see the sun coming out right now. This is a great time to be fishing for these smallmouth. They get up there suspended, you know, and using a lot of times, you know, you can get them going with a jerkbait or something like that, you know. So I don't want to get too close up here to the point. Go ahead and turn to turn. Now this is one of the more inexpensive graphs, so I know some of you guys have the crazier ones, but, you know, a lot of it, you know, it's all based on, you know, the same type of deal. There's just more options and some more clarity and stuff like that in some of these other ones. So you see, it was up on the point there, went ahead and turned off to the right, and now I'm just kind of scanning the, I guess it would be the east side of it. And go back to our down scan too. You can see the rock there. If you were to turn the, contrast down a little bit, that rock would be a little bit clearer. But I feel like the wood shows up more when you turn the contrast up. So if you feel like the fish are in the rock, then maybe turn your contrast down a little bit so you get a little more definition of the rock. If you feel like they're in wood, then turn the contrast up a bit so that way you can, you can pick up that wood. Now, putting the range on auto is beneficial a lot of the time, so you don't got to look at these tiny deals, the tiny screen. So go to range here, go all the way down to auto. I'm gonna put on auto range. Okay, I'm gonna go over to, we're getting a little shallow, more shallow than I'd want here. All right, and then I'm gonna go here again to down scan and make everything auto. Now you can see what it does though when you do that. Everything stretches out, so you can back off with your zoom in and out buttons here. But what you're going to want to do is come back into the down scan here and then mess with that contrast again, because that's what's going to be messing you up there. So I got mine on 72 right now. It looks pretty good. You can see some surface clutter up here, but I don't care. I want the returns more than anything. I'm not fishing for anything up here. You got a brush pile here sitting in 18 with some fish on it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is run my cursor right to it right here. I'm going to put a waypoint on it. Boom. I'm going to save it. Now that's got a fish there. We can also stop the sonar real quick too. So stop it. I think there's another way to pause it, but anyway, so I put a thing of fish there because I seen some there, but I'm also going to hold it down again, drop another waypoint, but I'm going to come right here to my icons and I'm going to put this little island deal because it kind of shows me as the brush pile. So go ahead and mark that as a brush pile. Boom. Come down here and save that, and then I can start my sonar back up, and now I just marked that. So now when I go over to my mapping, you can see on my mapping, if you zoom in here, you can see that waypoint that I just dropped right there. So now I know where my spot's at, and I can turn around and and hit that spot. Let's go back to our sonar here, down scan in sonar. So we are graphing for fish. There we go, right here. Here's some right here. Some fish there. I do want to turn my contrast up though on here. There we go. Okay, so now we're back to this. So this is pretty much what you're going to be doing. I'll put up another video when okay, here we go right here, some more fish, of which fish that you want to fish for and how to really up your chances of catching those fish. And for me, I don't stop at when there's just a couple of fish. I want to make sure that there's enough fish there or enough in the area, and I'm in that area, in that depth. And but these ones that are on the bottom, sometimes they're a bit more catchable, because a lot of times when they are relating to the bottom, they're looking for food, maybe some crawfish or something like that. But a lot of lakes that have a lot of bait fish, your fish are usually underneath looking up, and you just got to figure out what they want, what they're doing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and drop a line in on a couple of the spots. I'm going to go around and I'm going to find some more of these spots like I showed you, and I'm going to mark them, and then I'm going to go ahead and fish them like this here. We got two there and maybe a fish down here. It looks like a piece of wood sitting down there. Can't really tell because I don't have my contrast up over here, but it's just so small, it's very, very small. So I'm gonna go ahead and not worry about that one right now. And but yeah, I'm gonna keep doing this, and I'm gonna put the camera on the chesty and I'll see if I can catch some of these fish that we're graphing in these 20 plus areas. So we're going over a point right now, but I will keep graphing and I'll keep you guys updated on what goes on. All right, bye.